Isabel looks insane.
Good morning. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. It's so excited to have you with us this morning. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful show. In about 4 or 5 minutes, we'll be talking to Travis Allen. He is a Republican candidate for governor and getting some traction out there, certainly in the Inland Empire.
Yes, he is. He's the only candidate my friends are talking about out here in the Inland Empire. So I keep seeing these polls showing other people, and I'm like, well, hold on. That's not who I'm hearing about. So.
It's a big state, though. So,
it is.
Do you think a Republican has a chance?
I don't know. If a Republican makes it to the top two, then I think they've got a chance. I don't know that it's a big chance. It really depends on if the Democrat implodes. But the reality is that there's probably not going to be a Republican in the top two. And if that happens, that's really bad for the party, because if you don't have someone at the top to pull voters, excite voters, to run a big campaign, it hurts all the candidates down ticket.
It does. And beyond that, I mean, I think it really comes down to how frustrated are people with the gas tax and the increase in car registration fees, because that's the one that is hitting right now.
Yes.
Especially since this the governor promised that he would not raise taxes without taking it to the public, and he did just that by raising that gas tax. And it wasn't a little bump, it was a big bump.
Yeah, and it's funny, in his first term he was, Mr., I'm going to do it by the book and we're going to go to the people and all this. But as he realized that he's not going to be accountable anymore, he threw all of those promises out the window, because he's not ever running again, and the people got hosed.
They did.
So I'm excited to hear from Travis Allen what his thoughts are, what his plans are.
But we have to talk for a second about the late Barbara Bush.
Yes, we do.
So Barbara Bush, who was First Lady, and what would you call the Vice President's wife? Second Lady?
I guess.
So Barbara Bush, of course, was married to George H.W. Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, and she passed away at the age of 92. I think she had congestive heart failure or COPD or something like that.
She was one classy lady, and she was on the national scene for decades, because first her husband was vice president, as you pointed out, then her husband was president, then her son was president, and a very unique sort of woman. And usually these folks that get into the spouses are very sort of political too, and they comport themselves in a certain way. She really just sort of came across as just a normal person, and just sort of spoke her mind and took on the issues that mattered to her, and kind of steered clear of all the political stuff.
She did. Yes, and kind of and became the matriarch. She because she didn't get down in the weeds, because she didn't get down into all the political nonsense that goes on, she was able to keep the image of kind of being everyone's mom or grandma.
Yeah. It's fascinating that the role that she played. She often would speak out on. She'd ask questions. She'd just say what she thought. When asked about if she thought that Jeb Bush should run for president, she said, "No, I don't think so."
Well, and honestly, they sat back and watched what their son was put through, what their other son was put through in George W. Bush. It's being a president is not for the faint at heart. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Faint of heart.
But you think about, typically a mom would say, whatever my son wants, I'm going to support it. But no, she was very adamant that, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. She's like, we've had enough.
Yeah.
So rest in peace. She had a wonderful long life, and it will be nice to, I hope that over the next few days we see some beautiful tributes.
I do too.
And, there's some people who were cheering, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's just mean-spirited. I hope that we see some beautiful tributes, because certainly she deserves them.
Yes, indeed.
So we got to talk about this woman who was killed by a Southwest engine exploding. What a freak thing. A bank executive and mother of two from New Mexico has been identified as the woman who died after a Southwest Airlines jet plane blew an engine and got hit by shrapnel that smashed a window. News of Jennifer Reardon's death was first shared by the assistant principal of the Albuquerque Catholic School, attended by her two children. And that's according to the AP. In an email to parents, Assistant Principal Amy McCarty wrote that the family needs all prayers we can offer. Reardon was a vice president of community relations for Wells Fargo Bank. She was the wife of Michael Reardon, who served until recently as the chief operating officer for the city of Albuquerque. The New Mexico Broadcasters Association on social media said Reardon was a graduate of the University of New Mexico and a former board member.
Yeah, I can't imagine what this must have been like. You know, this is like everyone's nightmare. The engine explodes, the window gets blown out, and the woman's being sucked out of the plane. I just can't even imagine what she must have been going through physically and mentally in those moments. And then to hear afterwards that it ended with her death is just so sad. And my prayers go out to her family. What a horrible way for someone to pass. And Southwest Airlines has got a lot of questions to answer. This is so bizarre.
It is a completely, it's a freak accident. I mean, honestly, it's a freak accident. So I am so excited that we have Travis Allen on the line. Sorry about that. Travis Allen on the line with us. He is running for governor in the state of California, a GOP candidate for governor in the state of California. And you know, this is a bright blue state. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome to the show, Travis Allen.
Thanks so much for having me on.
So what prompted you to run for governor?
Well, I was born and raised right here in California. I've had to watch as my entire family and friends have all left the state. And about 6 years ago, I thought I'd do something about it. So I got elected to the California State Assembly, became the most conservative voice in the legislature, fighting against all the crazy laws, against all the tax increases. I'm the original author of the gas tax repeal. But after six years in the California legislature, I realized that in order to truly change the state and to make it a state where my family and friends can finally come back to, the only way to change it would be governor. And so now I'm running to be the next governor of the state of California, because I got to tell you, we've had, 8 years of Jerry Brown. This is his second time around. 39 of the last 40 years, the California Democrats have dominated the state legislature. Really, the only way to stop this is by stopping Gavin Newsom, stopping Tony Villaraigosa, and actually putting a Republican in the governor's seat to create some balance once again in California.
So one of the things that drives me crazy about the media right now, the press that's coming out of Sacramento, is that this idea that the governor has a surplus. The governor has a surplus. The governor has a surplus. Well, we have crumbling infrastructure. We have billions of dollars in unfunded pension mandates, and there are we have huge debt to service. So how can that be? And how can you restore fiscal sanity to Sacramento?
So it's very simple. They all say Jerry Brown balanced the budget, and everybody hails as some kind of financial genius. Nothing could be further from the truth. When Jerry Brown came into office, the state general fund was $86 billion. Today, that was in 2010. Today, it's over $131 billion. That's an increase of your tax dollars of over $45 billion, or over 50% increase since Jerry Brown was in office in terms of the taxes that are being paid to Sacramento. That's because of Prop 30. He literally raised taxes, took more of our money to quote-unquote balance the budget. But of course, they're still spending money like drunken sailors. We still have the second worst roads in the nation with the worst traffic in the country. Our infrastructure, like our water system, is entirely failing and crumbling. And the answer is you got to stop the tax increases. They just increased this gas tax. We don't need an increase in gas taxes to fix our roads and expand our freeways. As a matter of fact, less than 35% of that new gas tax that just went into effect in November of last year, and the car registration increase that just went into effect in January of this year, less than 35% of that will ever find its way into our roads, and not one penny can ever be spent on any new general purpose or free freeway lanes. The best it can go to is toll lanes, bus lanes, bike lanes, and you guessed it, that high-speed rail. So I've already pledged in my very first budget to defund the high-speed rail, repeal the gas tax, and actually spend our existing tax revenue on our roads, which is where it belongs.
So I have to say, we look at our gas tax. Our gasoline is so stupid expensive. The only place that I know that where gasoline is more expensive is Hawaii, and it's. I've had enough. And that he promised that he would not raise taxes without going to the voters, and of course that was a lie.
It was a complete lie. I mean, 2010, Jerry Brown said no new taxes without voter approval. That's exactly what he did. He bribed 4 legislators $1 billion of your taxpayer money to basically pass this tax that none of us ever got a chance to vote on. And this is why I'm the original author of the repeal of the gas tax. I said simply, look, you got to put this before the people of California for a vote. If you're going to raise tax on the people of California, you at least got to give them the chance to sign off on it. And I am pleased to report that so far there was originally 2 efforts. We have since merged those efforts, and now there's over 600,000 signatures gathered. It's well on the way to getting on the November ballot, but there is still time to sign the petition if you've not signed yet. Go to nocagastax.com, download the petition, sign it, and mail it in. There's a few days left to get these petitions in. But that's what we're doing, is we're gathering the signatures to make sure that it's on your November ballot. And the people of California finally have a chance to tell Sacramento, we've had enough of these constant tax increases, and lower our taxes.
So what about immigration? Our state has taken the position that we are not going to support the federal government's desire to send people out of the country who are up to no good. I mean, honestly, it's sending criminal aliens out. They've created a sanctuary state, and now several cities and counties are suing the state of California. Where do you stand on all of that?
So let's be clear about what the issue is, because the Democrats have been spinning this in the media. There's a difference between illegal immigration and the sanctuary state. Illegal immigration is the concept that people have come over here to our country illegally. Sanctuary state is actually something different. It's the idea that people that have come here illegally, that are committing crimes while they are here, are now being sheltered with our taxpayer dollars. So this is not talking about taking someone's grandmother, off of their couch. This is someone who came here illegally that is now committing crimes while they are here, and they are now being sheltered with our taxpayer dollars. That's the illegal sanctuary state. I was the first one to say that we should that we should defund it. That was a bill I did last year. It was called AB 1252, to defund every sanctuary jurisdiction in California. Of course, the Democrats killed that in the legislature. So in January of this year, I was on Tucker Carlson on Fox News, and I called out for the White House and Jeff Sessions to come to California and sue California. And sure enough, just about 4 weeks ago, Jeff Sessions came to California, and literally now they are suing the state of California. Past that, what we now have is cities and counties across California are opting out. They're rejecting the sanctuary state. Then they're actually joining Trump's lawsuit against California. So just last night, the city of San Diego voted, the county of San Diego voted to join the federal lawsuit. Cities across Orange County and all over California are also pushing back and opting out. And I've started a petition a few weeks ago, already has 35,000 signatures from California citizens in over 300 cities telling their cities and counties to opt out. And of course, you can find that online, online at jointravisallen.com. It's also on my Facebook at Join Travis Allen. But the concept is that the California government must respect the federal Constitution. Immigration is a federal issue as defined by the U.S. Constitution. This idea of the illegal sanctuary state, where California is sheltering criminals who are committing crimes while they're here, and they're not even here legally in the first place, it's wrong, it's dangerous, and is absolutely unconstitutional. So we must reverse it.
Thank you, Travis. So how do you win this election? This is, as my wife said at the beginning of this is a bright blue state. And can you explain to our listeners the process? Is there a vote in June and then another vote in November, or is it just in November? How does this work?
Yeah, there is. So there's 7 major candidates right now running to be the governor of the state of California. Right now, it's Gavin Newsom as the number 1 spot, and then tied in a big pack for number 3 are the 2 Republicans, myself. There's another Republican, and then there's also Antonio Villaraigosa. And all of us are essentially within the margin of error in a second place spot. So what happens is the top 2, regardless of party, will advance from June into the November ballot. And there's a lot of people that say, look, Travis, how could a Republican ever win in California? And the answer is actually very simple. There's more of us than there are of them. And they say, wait a second, Travis, come on. We all know the state is 26% Republican and 41% Democrat. But that doesn't tell the whole story. The whole story is there's more Californians that believe in common sense than there are that believe in Jerry Brown and the California Democrats. And the proof is very simple. In 2014, Jerry Brown was elected with 4.3 million votes. In 2016, Donald Trump just got 4.4 million votes in California. So literally, if all we do is turn out the Trump voters, we will elect a Republican in the state of California. And I am the only person in the entire governor's race that voted for and supported the Republican nominee for president, Donald Trump. The other, quote-unquote, so-called Republican was a never-Trumper. He voted for a guy called Gary Johnson, who believes in open borders and legalized drugs and legalized prostitution in California. Of course, he was pro-choice as well. So there is truly only one conservative Republican in the race. That is me. That's Travis Allen. And I'll tell you right now that if all we did was turn out the Trump voters in California, there are enough of us to send a conservative Republican to the governor's seat. And I got to tell you right now here on the air, that's what we are going to do, because this state has gone too far in the other direction. We have exploding homelessness, highest in the nation poverty, rising crime, open borders, sanctuary state. Californians don't believe in this, and this is our chance. We took our country back in 2016. In 2018, it's time to take our state back.
So how do people get more information? We are just about out of time. How do people get more information about you? Maybe they want to pound a yard sign into their lawn. Where do they go?
You bet. If you're ready to fight, if you're truly ready to take back California, join me. I have over 40,000 volunteers up and down the state, more than any other governor candidate out there. Because very simply, Californians are tired of what Jerry Brown and the Democrats have done to us. Go to jointravisallen.com or find me online on Facebook at Join Travis Allen. Sign up to volunteer, donate if you can, but get active and get involved, because truly there is now a Republican like Ronald Reagan in the race to be the next governor of the state of California, a real Republican, not one of these Meg Whitman, Republican lights, but a real Republican that believes in our Second Amendment, that believes in strong, secure borders, and yes, absolutely securing that border, reversing the illegal sanctuary state, repealing that gas tax, and once again making California the greatest state in the nation by standing up and fighting and actually winning again in California.
Well, Travis Allen,
Travis Allen,
thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great conversation.
My pleasure, guys. Good luck on the freeways out there, and remember, this is our chance. We took back our country in 2016. Let's take back our state in 2018.
Thank you so much. All right, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll be right back.
This segment of programming sponsored by Cybertime Network Communications. How's your internet? Slower than what you were paying for? Feeling boxed in with the high cost of the internet? It can be frustrating and expensive, and with net neutrality coming, it's not getting any easier. Ready for a better high-speed internet service? Then you're ready for Cybertime. And they're local and right in your own backyard. Cybertime provides connectivity for all our transmissions you're listening to at KCAA. Cybertime is locally owned and will respond to your needs with the best service. It's crisp, cool, fast, and sleek. Cybertime uses the latest, leading-edge microwave technology to be able to offer clients a safe, reliable, public or private network that fits almost any budget size. Numerous local city agencies rely on Cybertime's microwave private network for their most critical mission applications. You should too. Get connected, stay connected, get smart, get Cybertime. You can Google, text, or call Cybertime Network Communications at 909-795-9559. Cybertime Network Communications in Kalamazoo. Mesa.
For several days, you've been craving a juicy, tender steak. So it's time to satisfy that craving at Tony's Spunky Steer Restaurant. Tony's is located in the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. At Tony's, you'll have top-notch service and feast on some of the best-tasting prime sizzler steaks in the Inland Empire. The Tri-City Center is located just off I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. Make Tony's Spunky Steer your dining destination for that special occasion, or if you just want a great steak.
Know your rights and responsibilities. You're a hardworking student. You've grown up here. You're striving and working towards the American dream. You're a dreamer and maybe you need to renew your DACA deferral. Now is the time to take action. On January 9th, the district court ordered a halt to President Trump's efforts to terminate the deferred action for childhood arrivals, or DACA. And now the Department of Homeland Security is now accepting DACA renewal applications. Now you can get free DACA renewal assistance from the TODEC Legal Center. The TODEC Center may also provide you with payment assistance with up to $495 in immigration fees to renew. Stay here, stay home, stay with your family. You're valued, loved, wanted, and needed. Get free legal screening and consultation, application assistance, and legal representation. For more info, search todec.org. That's TODEC.org. Or call for upcoming workshops at 951-943-1955. That's 951-943-1955 for the TODEC Legal Center. And dream on.
Locals in Loma Linda and Redlands all know and love the Family Homestyle Cafe, the home of the world's largest pancakes and the delicious mouth-watering food cooked up daily by their well-trained chefs. Sizzling thick-cut bacon, ham, and hand-pressed sausage. They take pride in the best quality, great economical values, with better portions served up with the pride of local ownership and great service. Near the corner of Anderson and Redlands Boulevard in Loma Linda, if you haven't tried out Chef Mark's Delights, you haven't had some of the best food in the area. And now, Chef Mark is upgrading his cafe and offering space for on-site gatherings, luncheons, and parties. Add a DJ for a great holiday party or luncheon, and you've got a no-fuss event with all the bells and whistles. Call Mark today at 909-478-9996. That's 909-478-9996. Or stop by the Homestyle Cafe in Loma Linda at Anderson and Redlands Boulevard.
Drivers, when it's time to visit the DMV, avoid the long lines and save time by calling toll-free 833-DMV-LINE. That's 833-DMV-5463.
This is KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. There was a really interesting article in Yahoo News about what millennials are saying to their therapists about their parents.
Yeah, I thought this was a fascinating article. I'm so glad you found it.
So, you know, if you think about how, and millennials, let's be clear, some people refer to millennials as anybody who's younger than 40. That's not true.
Yeah.
So the kids that were born 2001 on are not millennials.
Yes.
They're the next generation, which really doesn't have some people are saying Generation Z or whatever. I don't know.
I like bubble wrap.
Yeah. They're a different generation.
Yes.
So the millennials are really in their 20s and 30s at this point. So even early 20s and 30s. Our kids are tail end. Well, if they're born in 2001, that means they'd be 17. So 17 on up to 35 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
30, 37, 30, whatever. So they grew up with helicopter parents, and they were the hyper-scheduled ones. Remember? So, you know, they're the ones that had their parents took them to like baseball on Tuesday night and dance on Wednesday night, and it's just and school and this and that, and always something to do. Go, 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 go. And parents were all involved in their lives, right? So, and I'm sure you saw this as a teacher, that the helicopter parents.
Yeah, and the it's interesting because it's productive in some ways and not in others. It's like you want them to be involved, but then there's certain places where the kids need some autonomy, and it's almost like you can't pick and choose. These parents are all in, and some of these kids are essentially have learned helplessness.
They do.
So they show up in my classroom, and they want you to do everything for them because mommy and daddy do everything for them, and it's like no, you actually have to do some work now.
So they grew up with helicopter parents, and they feel like they can't function like real adults. It's because the parents did everything for them, and they feel like a failure, right? So what you learn when you're trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and succeeding is you learn, number one, you learn tenacity. Mm-hmm. Number two, you learn that failure is not the end of the world. that it's a normal part of life. And number 3, you learn that you can do it. When you struggle with something and you finally get there, that gives you tremendous self-esteem.
It does. And, the idea, and we've talked about this before, that self-esteem is something that you can just bestow upon a person by giving them an award or something, and now they're going to feel good about themselves.
No.
It's just not real. It's not
actually
true.
counterproductive. It actually the absolute opposite of true. If you give somebody a trophy that they haven't earned, they feel even more inadequate.
Yes, because they know they didn't earn it. And so, this is the thing about developing the sense of pride and self-worth, is that you have to earn those things, and you can do that in real simple ways. And we have to start changing the way that we parent,
So, and we're going to continue this conversation in the last segment, because we have Gerald Celente coming up after the break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio. I'm Lisa Carter. She was an American icon. Former First Lady Barbara Bush died yesterday at the age of 92 with her husband of 73 years, former President George H.W. Bush, by her side. Mrs. Bush is being remembered for her commitment to literacy and her wicked sense of humor.
I am constantly amazed at the groups who have invited me to come and talk to them. Take the National Association of Plastic Surgeons.
A private funeral is set for Saturday. President Trump confirmed CIA Director and Secretary of State appointee Mike Pompeo met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump tweeting this morning saying Pompeo met with Kim in North Korea last week, said the meeting went smoothly and a good relationship was formed. And the NTSB is investigating after an engine exploded on a Southwest Airlines flight yesterday. One passenger died. Lisa Carter, NBC News Radio.
It's time for traffic on KCAA. I'm Erin Brinker. In Ontario, on the 10 westbound, before Etowanda Avenue, there's an accident on the right lane. Accident that has the right lane blocked, with some stop-and-go traffic backed up from Cedar Avenue. In East Vale, on the 15 southbound after Limonite, a wreck is now along the right shoulder. There's some stop-and-go traffic from the 60. In Murrieta, on the 15 southbound between the 215 and the 79 South Temecula Parkway, there's stop-and-go traffic. In Colton, on the 215 southbound before Mount Vernon, a crash involving a car and lost ladder is blocking the carpool lane. There's some stop-and-go traffic backed up from the 10. And in Chino, on the 60 westbound before Central Avenue, a crash has been moved to the center divider. This has been your traffic on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Sunny today, a high of 75, strong winds in the area, increasing clouds and windy tonight, low of 48. Could see a shower or two across greater San Bernardino Thursday, but then mostly sunny, 63 for a high. Winds getting strong as well, partly cloudy, 48 Thursday night. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Midnight in the Desert with Heather Wade will return to KCAA on Friday night. All week long, tune into KCAA Radio at night from 9 to 1 as we reminisce with the late Art Bell. Some of his greatest Midnight in the Desert shows will air right here on this station all week long. It's Midnight in the Desert with the late Art Bell, an exclusive from KCAA Radio Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights this week. KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Drivers, when it's time to visit the DMV, avoid the long lines and save time by calling toll-free 833-DMV-LINE. That's 833-DMV-5463. KCAA, where every day is a great day.
It's getting
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink on the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. And we're so excited to welcome to the show Gerald Celente. He developed the globalnomic methodology to identify, track, forecast, and manage trends. He's a political atheist, unencumbered by political dogma, rigid ideology, or conventional wisdom. Celente, whose motto is think for yourself, observes and analyzes the current events, forming future trends for what they are, not for what he wants them to be. And while Celente holds a U.S. passport, he considers himself a citizen of the world. Gerald Celente, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So the world has gone a little crazy. So what are some trends that are really front and center at the moment?
A little crazy. I call this the greatest freak show on earth. Picking up where Barnum and Bailey left off.
Right.
Well, what we're looking at, for example, on the equity market front, because that's what people are mostly concerned about in the dollar and cents field. What you see is what it is. We have massive stock buybacks, unprecedented in the history of the stock market, with all this money coming back from Trump tax cuts and repatriation of the money overseas. For example, Apple's sitting on about $250 billion in cash stored overseas, and it's expected to use Trump's tax reforms to return about $100 billion to its shareholders in stock buybacks and dividend perks. And that's going on throughout the markets. So that's what's driving the equities up. And they're highly overvalued and overleveraged. When you look, for instance, at the Schiller Index, they're running about 32 times price-earnings ratio, which brings them back to dot-com levels nearing that. So they're very vulnerable. And then we look at what's going on in the world. And it's out of the news, but didn't the United States just send, 100 cruise missiles into Syria?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's out of the news.
Well, and honestly, let's be that the players in Syria. It's really not about Bashar al-Assad at this point. It is about Russia.
Well, whatever it is, so I'm just saying we're looking at global destabilization.
Yes,
and that's the kind of thing we're looking at that's going to really crash the markets. Because if there is an outbreak of war that extends in the Middle East beyond Syria, and now there's a lot of talk about Iran. Start looking at oil prices. Already oil prices are up 30 cents a gallon this year. When you're looking, for example, at consumer spending, it only went up a little bit this month. It's been down the last 2 months in retail spending. So 78% of the people, and again, these are all facts and numbers that we're looking at, that are being reported, are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you see oil prices, which now are in the $70 or a barrel range, go up to like $100 a barrel, kiss the economic growth goodbye. Because then we're going to start seeing a market crash because the markets are way overvalued and overleveraged. So we're very concerned about what's going on in the Middle East. So those are the things that we're looking at the most right now.
When I think about overvalued and overleveraged, definitely the dot-com era. I was working in tech at the time, but also 1929. Wasn't that all about overleveraging?
Oh, sure. And again, you look at the Panic of '08. So again, the numbers are there. And again, this is being fueled by unprecedented levels of stock buybacks. And again, you look at it, already this year, corporations have bought back almost 170 billion of their own stocks, and according to the data coming out, they're on course. You ready for this? To purchase a record-setting 800 billion in stock buybacks by the end of the year.
Wow. Now, let's talk about the rise of cryptocurrencies. I've heard some people say that that we should all be into Bitcoin because governments can't control it, and I hear others saying that it's a fiction. It's a figment of people's imagination, and as soon as that imagination changes, it's going to crash. What are your thoughts?
Well, read the headline today. Amazon wins patent for data feed marketplace that could include Bitcoin transactions. That's the top story as we speak on CNBC. What these cryptocurrencies are, again, when you look at the amount of money dumped in to the financial markets because of the record levels of low interest rates, that's what people are looking for as an alternative to the fiat currencies. So you're looking at, about $5 trillion was dumped into by the central banks that boosted the equity markets since the panic of '08. So people are going into the cryptocurrencies as alternatives to fiat currencies. The governments are going to do everything they can to try to stop them. So where they're going, here's our forecast. Bitcoin has to go back over $11,000 a coin. Boy, just saying that number
That's
sounds
insane.
Crazy. But it has to go over that before we see it gaining any more strength. But there's a lot of concern around the world about, again, all of this cheap money flows. And again, let's go back to February. What happened when there was high market volatility? It was because of the fear of rising interest rates. All this is one big Ponzi scheme. They didn't teach you negative and zero interest rate policies and quantitative easing in Economics 101.
No, they didn't. They did. So talk about negative interest rates. Talk about, I don't know that people really understand what all of that means.
Well, what it means is that the central banks, for example, the European Central Bank, still has here the interest rates now from the central bank in the United States. They raised them 6 times since 2008 to the grand total of between 1.50 and 1.75 overnight rate. Once upon a time, when I was a young guy, used to hear, "Oh yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Singer retired. They went to Florida on the money that they saved from their interest rates they used to get in the bank." Now you're not getting any.
No, you're not. Inflation is actually higher than the interest rate.
Right. It's just fueled the equity markets. It's unprecedented. And now in Europe, they still have negative interest rates. So, for example, you put money in the bank, you got to pay them to put it in there. And the same thing in, you sound like a nice woman. I got a great deal for you. I have a 10-year bond, but this is a Japanese bond. And in 10 years, because I like you so much, I'm going to give you back less money than you paid for to buy the bond.
That's insane.
I know, and that's what's going on. This is pure insanity. And they do it with a straight face. So I'm not making this stuff up. So now what's going to happen when interest rates go up? You're going to see a market correction, we believe, that is going to be worse than what you mentioned earlier, the crash of 1929.
Oh, my goodness. So how do families get ready? I mean, at $11,000 a Bitcoin, you said that was the price today at the moment, or it needs to get up to that point. How does your average family save to protect themselves from this?
Well, they can't save. Again, you're looking at the savings. There's no savings rate. And again, this is what the government policy has been. And so our forecast, by the way, and again, I do not give financial advice. We're trend forecasters. And we're saying gold is the ultimate safe haven asset at this time. And our forecast for gold is that gold has to break over $1,385 an ounce before it gains strength. Right now it's trading in the it's been going between 1,360 and about 1,300, that range, since the year. And we're saying it has to break above the 1,385 mark. When it goes above 1,385, then we're looking at 1,450. When it stabilizes above 1,450, then it's going to do, we believe, a Bitcoin bounce, meaning it's going to skyrocket to around $2,000 an ounce.
Wow.
And the other things to look at, of course, are what's going on with China and Russia, you mentioned earlier. And China is now using the petro-yuan. So right now we have a petrodollar, which, of course, was a deal that was made in 1974 with Nixon, we're going to protect you guys over in Saudi Arabia, but here's the deal. You got to sell all your oil in dollars, all of OPEC, and they did it. Now China's saying, we don't want to pay for our oil with dollars. We'll pay for them with yuan. So Russia, China, by the way, is the biggest importer of oil and gas in the world.
Sure. I mean, they're the most populated nation in the world.
Yes. So now what they're saying is, but we're not going to pay you in dollars.
So what
we'll
is that?
pay you in yuan.
What happens to the United States if the dollar is no longer the reserve currency?
Then you're going to see a dollar crash that'll remind you of back in Weimar Republic when people were going to the shop with a wheelbarrow full of money. They'll do that with going to Walmart's, because look at our debt level. Was it now $20 trillion?
It's insane.
And they just increased it by another, what, $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill this year?
Yes. Our fiscally responsible Republican Party is continuing to spend us into oblivion.
Yeah, both of them. You know, it was under Obama, too. It just kept going up.
Indeed. We're conservatives. My husband and co-host, we're conservative, and, we'd hoped that Paul Ryan would be able to pull through a rational budget, but that just didn't happen.
You mean Eddie Munster? Isn't he going back to playing Eddie Munster now that he's leaving?
So,
at 23 years old, I was the number 2 guy running the mayoral campaign in Yonkers, New York, and then they sent me up to Albany, and I was the assistant to the Secretary of the Senate. So I got into the whole political system at a very young age, and that's why I became a political atheist. It was the worst jobs I ever had in watching grown men suck up to get to the top. So I have basically no faith in the current political systems.
So how do people find out? I mean, you have at trendsresearch.com. I know that you can be a subscriber. And how do people can get more information about what you're doing?
Well, we have a magazine, the Trends Journal, and we publish trend alerts each week, and we have Trends in the News broadcasts. So they could go to trendsresearch.com, trendsresearch.com. And we've been doing this since 1980. And I'm also the author of a number of books, Trend Tracking, Trends 2000, international bestseller. So I've been at this a long time. And I have to say to you, I've never been, my office I have over 120 plants in my office, and we have art everywhere. So what I do is I try to balance the what's going on in the world with art and beauty as a deterrent to what's going on. And I have to say to you, I've never been more concerned about the State of the Union than I am right now.
Wow.
And I call this a divided state of America, and that we're not moving forward as a unified country. And it's very disturbing in terms of trend forecasting, in that we're not growing in a way that is beneficial for the future. So we're very concerned about it. And particularly, we're seeing how, every nation now could, El Presidente of any country could take the nation to war without Congress having a say in it. And that's very different, and it's been going on now for quite some time. And again, with the volatility in the Middle East escalating at record levels that we're concerned about, the future is very uncertain, and we're concerned about that.
So, one last question here: when we're divided against each other, it's leadership wants to create an outside catastrophe so that would take us to war. I mean, honestly, the Great Depression really was ended because World War II started. Is that in our future?
Well, you said it. I mean, one of my sayings is, when all else fails, they take you to war. Get your mind off things really quick. Go back to 2001. People forget that Bush's popularity rating was plummeting. And all of a sudden, 9/11 happens.
Wow.
And the whole thing changed. We were in a recession. The dot-com bubble had just burst in March of 2000. So people's minds got off it right away. And matter of fact, we had sent our subscribers a post that if there was going to be a missile strike, it would happen during the weekend when the equity markets would not react to it, because we're watching how every time there was concerns about whether a war or trade wars, you can see the volatility in the markets. So again, having been in government for so many, I used to be a chief government affairs specialist in the chemical industry as well. What happens is that any time the government is obligated, for example, to release information under different laws, they do it late Friday after people have left Capitol. And Saturday is the least read and least watched day of news. So they wait to the weekends to do these things. So again, when all else fails, they take you to war. So you want to get your mind off something, that's the way they have a history of doing it.
Wow. Well, there's a lot to think about. Everybody needs to go to trendsresearch.com. Gerald Celente, I hope you join us again. This was a really enlightening conversation. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and all the best.
All the best to you, too. So it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll be right back.
This segment of programming sponsored by Cybertime Network Communications. How's your internet? Feeling boxed in with the high costs of the internet? Ready for a better internet service? Then you're ready for Cybertime. Yes, there's an alternative to those big corporate internet service providers. It's Cybertime Network Communications. Cybertime is so good, they provide all the connectivity for this radio station. Crisp, cool, fast, and sleek. Cybertime uses the latest leading-edge microwave technology. No wires, no cables, no sharing, and they're able to offer clients a safe, reliable public or private network that fits almost any budget size. And several cities rely on Cybertime's microwave private network for their most critical mission applications. Get connected. Stay connected. Get smart. Get Cybertime. You can Google, text, or call Cybertime Network Communications at 909-795-9559. That's 909-795-9559.
Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here with some important information about debt, your debt. Whether you have a first or second mortgage, you're looking to buy or refi a home or rental property, or just need to consolidate your credit cards to lower your payments and save some serious interest, you need to do some loan financial planning with Steve Alladort, my mortgage man, at loanfinancialplanner.com. Now, Steve's not your garden variety mortgage broker. He actually spends time evaluating how you can use the current super competitive interest rates to pay off your mortgage early, purchase a rental property, improve your cash flow, upgrade to your dream home, or even help your kids or grandkids get into a house. That's what loan financial planning is all about. Steve's been helping me and my listeners for over 2 decades, and I can tell you he is the best finance guy in the business. Go to loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com.
Or call Steve Alladort at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070.
What if I told you you'd never have to make a house payment again? What if you could pay off much-needed home repairs and even create an income stream based on the value of your home? If you're 62 years old or older, you could be eligible for a reverse mortgage. Call Tim Harrison and find out if a reverse mortgage is right for you. Call Tim at 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475. Tim Harrison, branch manager, NMLS number 170960. Broadview Mortgage Corporation is licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 170952. Registered with the Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System and registry number 813B544. Broadview Mortgage, equal housing lender. Remember, if you never want to make a house payment again, except for property taxes, maintenance, and insurance, that's 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475.
Midnight in the Desert with Heather Wade will return to KCAA on Friday night. All week long, tune into KCAA Radio at night from 9 to 1 as we reminisce with the late Art Bell. Some of his greatest Midnight in the Desert shows will air right here on this station all week long. It's Midnight in the Desert with the late Art Bell, an exclusive from KCAA Radio Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights this week. KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Drivers, when it's time to visit the DMV, avoid the long lines and save time by calling toll-free 833-DMV-LINE. That's 833-DMV-5463.
KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. Boy, sure have had a lot of food for thought on today's show.
Right? A lot of stuff.
So for those of you who did not catch both of our interviews, one with Gerald Celente and one with Travis Allen, you can get this, our podcast, all of our podcasts at kcaaradio.com. You just click on the On the Brink link to the podcast link, and you can download all of our shows. I will tell you the ads are in the podcast; they have not been clipped out. So, if you the Travis Allen started at about 6:10, and Gerald Celente started at about 6:35, and so you can just kind of forward and find those interviews.
Yeah, great interviews.
So before the Gerald Celente interview, we talked about this Yahoo News article about what millennials are saying to therapists about their parents.
Yes.
And one of the things is that they were helicopter parents, and that the kids feel that they're inequipped to deal with life. Inequipped to deal with feeling the negative feelings that come along with failure and just living. I mean, you think about how many things you do during the day where, you accidentally lock your keys in your car, or you leave your cell phone at work and you have to walk back in. I mean, you're talking about little things.
The irony is it's a complete flip from what our generation had, which was, a lot of us had sort of absentee parents who didn't provide us with any sort of guidance, and so
we were a little feral.
So we had to figure it all out on our own. And so, our generation is in therapy, complaining that mom and dad never helped us. We had to, we felt ill-equipped to deal with the world because we had no guidance, and these kids are the same but reversed because
it stands to reason, right? Because if there's a generation and the generational theory of generational theory, what is it, a theory of something, generational theory, that each generation has a kind of a personality, an archetype, and ours is the nomad. That we're kind of wandering aimlessly.
Gen X is a nomad.
Yes, I say Gen X, like you're supposed to know what mine is. Millennials is not. The millennial, we hyper parented them.
Yes.
So they say that their parents think that they don't need therapy. So suck it up, kid. You've had everything given to you. You don't need therapy.
Yeah, I've created this perfect child, so how dare you be, how dare you have issues? And I think too, and the kids kind of express this, is that their concern, the parents' concern is that they're actually talking about them in therapy, which they are. And some of these parents are hyper-controlling to the point where they want to know what their kid is saying about them in therapy. And mommy and daddy are saying, well, I'm paying for your therapy, so you need to tell me what you're saying. And so this is just...
How wrong is that?
There's like 15 different levels of wrong right there.
Here's the answer you should give mom and dad. Nobody comes through childhood unscathed. I'm sure some of the things that you're talking about with your therapist have to do with me. If your therapist wants to talk to me, I'm completely open to that, and I support you. That's the right answer.
Amen.
So the number 4 is my parents have become helicopter grandparents. Now, here's the beauty of grandparenthood.
Yes.
You get to enjoy the child when all of the responsibility is on your children, right?
Yes.
You get to enjoy their children as, the one who gives them ice cream for breakfast,
Yes.
the one who, is snuggles and hugs and reading books and playing with them. Grandparenthood is supposed to be fun.
Well, and here's the thing, too. I see a lot of kids that are not actually parenting. They're more than happy to hand the kid off to grandma and grandpa so they can continue to be sort of the juvenile kids that they've always been.
No. Parents have to be parents.
Grandma and grandpa watch the kid while you're out at the club. No.
So number 5 is my parents are overly involved in my financial life. Yeah, you got to let them have that too. That's not okay.
Yeah.
That keeps them children. You don't want, your job as a parent is to make your children, raise them to be healthy, well-adjusted adults.
Yes.
So you have to let them, they have to be free to fail.
Yep.
And feel the consequences of that failure, and help devise a way to to figure out a way to get out of that failure. Now, can you coach them? Absolutely. Can you support them? Meaning emotional support? Absolutely. Do you bail them out every time something goes wrong?
No.
Absolutely not, because you will cripple them.
Yeah, and you gotta let them do their own stuff. You can't be doing it all for them.
So with that, we are at the end of our show for today. Have a great day, everybody. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM,